Do you ever feel like your special day gets overshadowed by the noise and chaos of the holiday season? Many believe it's a disadvantage, but the spiritual truth is actually the complete opposite. Being born in December isn't an accident. You were chosen to be the gatekeeper of time, holding the energy of closure and the burning hope of new beginnings. To carry this heavy mission, the universe has assigned a powerful protector to your side, a magnificent archangel of grace and joy. He is the reason your intuition is so sharp. He is the source of your strength that allows you to heal others, even when you are secretly hurting inside. But who is he? And how can you call upon his name to unlock your path for 2025? The answer is right here. Take a deep breath, and let's discover your guardian together. So who is this celestial guardian standing by your side? Who has been whispering to your intuition all these years? It is none other than the radiant Archangel Haniel. In the ancient texts and spiritual traditions, Haniel is one of the most magnificent archangels, yet her energy is often subtle, like a soft breeze or a silent prayer. Her name carries a vibration that resonates deeply with your soul. It translates to the joy of God or the grace of God. And this is no coincidence. Think about the time you were born. December. In many parts of the world, this is the darkest month of the year. The nights are long, the air is cold, and nature goes into deep hibernation. It is a time when the world craves light and warmth the most. And that is exactly why you are here. And that is why Haniel is with you. While other archangels like Michael bring a fiery sword of protection, Haniel brings a lantern of silvery white moonlight. She is strongly associated with the moon and the planet Venus. This explains so much about your personality, doesn't it? Have you ever noticed that you are naturally drawn to beauty, harmony, and peace? Have you ever felt a sudden wave of calm just by looking at the moon on a clear night? That is Haniel's energy flowing through you. Because you were born in the month of darkness, your soul's mission is to be a bringer of light. But this can be exhausting. You often find yourself absorbing the stress and chaotic emotions of those around you, especially during the holiday season. You try to make everyone happy, often at the expense of your own energy. This is where Archangel Haniel steps in. She is your spiritual battery. She appears to those under her care in a shimmering turquoise or moonlight silver ray. Her primary role in your life is to teach you the art of emotional alchemy. What does that mean? It means she gives you the power to take a negative situation, a heavy emotion, a moment of despair, and transmutate it into grace and joy. She doesn't just help you endure the darkness. She teaches you how to shine within it. If you were born in the first part of December, under the sign of Sagittarius, Haniel works to balance your wild, fiery nature with elegance and charm. She helps you speak your truth without hurting others, turning your honesty into wisdom. If you were born in the latter part of December, under the sign of Capricorn, Haniel is there to soften your heart. She reminds you that it is okay to rest, to be romantic, and to find magic in the mundane, lifting the weight of responsibility off your shoulders. She is the reason you have that uncanny gut feeling that is rarely wrong. That is not just luck. That is Haniel whispering the secrets of the universe directly to your spirit. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by the end-of-year pressure, or you feel like your light is dimming, remember this. You have the angel of grace holding your hand. But knowing her name is only the first step. To truly activate her protection and blessings for the coming year, you need to know how to ask. Now that you know Archangel Haniel is your guardian, how do you actually hear her guidance? How do you tap into that infinite reservoir of joy? You don't need complicated rituals. Remember, she is the angel of simplicity and grace. Here is the most powerful way to connect with her, specifically designed for your December energy. I call this the moonlight mirror technique. Since Haniel is connected to the moon, the best time to speak to her is at night. Tonight, or whenever you see the moon in the sky, I want you to step outside or stand by a window. Take a deep breath. Visualize a soft, silvery blue light descending from the moon, entering the crown of your head and filling your entire body. Then simply whisper this invocation. Archangel Haniel, turn my worry into grace. Help me see the beauty in this moment, and give me the strength to shine my light without fear. If you love crystals, keep a moonstone or a piece of turquoise close to you. These are Haniel's calling cards. Holding them is like holding a direct line to her frequency. And now, I have a special message for you, a glimpse into your destiny. I meditated on the energy of those born in December, and the message for the horizon of 2026 is powerful. If the past few years have felt like you were planting seeds in the dark, wondering if they would ever grow, listen closely. 2026 is your year of radical visibility. For too long, you have been the gatekeeper, holding space for others, staying in the background, letting the December festivities outshine your personal moment. But Haniel is preparing you for a massive shift. By 2026, the roles will reverse. The projects, the dreams, and the quiet efforts you are making right now, even the ones you think no one notices, will bloom suddenly and beautifully. You are moving from the role of the observer to the role of the leader. Archangel Haniel is clearing your throat chakra and your heart chakra right now. She is preparing you to step onto a stage that you didn't think you were ready for. So do not give up. Do not feel small. Your guardian angel is polishing your crown. If this message resonated with your soul, then it was meant for you. You are not alone in this journey. We are building a community of light bringers right here. So I invite you, subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. In our next video, we will explore the signs that Archangel Haniel is trying to send you a specific warning. You won't want to miss that. Now, tell me in the comments, what is one thing you want to release before stepping into your new power? Let's affirm it together. May Haniel's grace be with you. Until next time. We have just journeyed through the realm of Archangel Haniel, the angel of grace and moonlight, the celestial guardian of those born in the chill of December. But remember, every angel is merely a ray of light reflecting the greatest source, the love of God. If you were born in December, or if you feel you are walking through the winter of your life, cold, dark, and heavy with pressure, then these philosophies are the hearth fire meant to warm you. Imagine we are sitting by a campfire under the star-filled Judean sky, listening to the whispers of the Savior. These words are not ancient history. They are direct answers to the anxiety, loneliness, and secret hopes you are carrying in your heart right now. 10. Philosophies on light in the winter. 1. The brightest light is always born from the deepest night. Sometimes you feel your birth month is gloomy, or your life is sinking into insurmountable difficulties. But remember, darkness is not the enemy. It is the cradle of light. Your true value does not lie in shining when everything is easy, but in your ability to keep the faith when the world around you crumbles. It is in the darkest hour that your inner light becomes most essential to this world. The night was late, and the cold wind from the desert made the apostles shiver. Thomas looked into the thick darkness surrounding them and sighed. "Teacher, this night is terrifying. How can we know the way without the sunlight?" Jesus bent down and picked up a tiny glowing ember from the fire. He held it up. Its red glow was small, but enough to illuminate the anxious faces of his disciples. "Thomas," he said gently, "do you see this ember? In the daytime, under the blazing sun, no one notices its presence, but it is in this very darkness that its beauty and heat truly come alive. Do not fear the darkness of your life. It is when you feel most lonely and cold that the Father is preparing you to shine the brightest." 2. To be forgotten by the world is God's way of marking his chosen ones. December-borns often feel overshadowed by the holidays, as if your efforts go unnoticed. But in God's eyes, being hidden is a privilege. When people do not see you, that is when God is watching you most closely. He hides you not to abandon you, but to protect you for a pivotal moment where the glory belongs to him, not to the noise of the world. A poor woman weaved through the crowd surrounding Jesus. She brought a small cake, the only birthday gift she could make for herself. But no one noticed her amidst the wealthy offering gold and silver. Feeling humiliated, she turned to leave. Suddenly, Jesus stopped. His gaze pierced through the noisy crowd and rested right where she stood. He called her closer. "Why are you weeping?" he asked. "Teacher," she sobbed, "today is the day I was born, but the world is too busy and no one remembers me. I feel invisible." Jesus smiled and placed his hand on her shoulder. "Daughter, the noisy world only sees what glitters on the outside. But look at those stars. They are still there during the day, yet only when the sun sets do people see them. You are not forgotten. You are hidden away. In your silence, I hear your heart the loudest. Those whom the world overlooks are often the ones whose names are carved in heaven." 3. True joy is not loud, it is a deep stillness. Archangel Haniel brings the joy of God. In the modern world, we mistake joy for parties, loud music, or fleeting excitement. But God's philosophy teaches that true joy is different from happiness. Happiness depends on circumstances, while she soars a state of stillness and grace, like the moon that shines regardless of whether the sea is rough or calm. Peter, always fiery and passionate, asked Jesus after a long day of teaching, "Teacher, how can we be joyful when the Romans still rule and we are still poor? Is joy only for the victors?" Jesus pointed to a stream trickling through the rocks. "Peter, look at that water. When the lake is calm, it reflects the sky. When the storm breaks the surface, the water beneath still flows, cool and fresh." He looked at Peter. "The joy I give you is not like fine wine that intoxicates a man for a moment and leaves him with a headache. My joy is the peace of knowing that even when the storms rise, you are still loved. Do not seek noise to fill the void. Seek the stillness, and you will find that my joy is already there." 4. The responsibility of the gatekeeper is to open the door to hope, not to carry the anxiety. Do you feel you must care for everyone, carrying the emotional weight of your family at year's end? That is the burden of the gatekeeper. But God teaches that you only need to open the door, not carry the entire house on your shoulders. Learn to hand that burden to him, and keep only the key of hope. A middle-aged man, his shoulders weighed down by heavy bags, approached Jesus. He was the head of a large family, always worrying about food and clothing for everyone as winter approached. "Teacher," he lamented, "I am so tired. I have to provide for my aging parents, my young children, and my unemployed brothers. I feel like a pillar about to snap." Jesus gently lifted one of the bags from the man's shoulder and set it on the ground. "My brother, who told you that you must be the Messiah for your family?" The man was startled. Jesus continued, "You are called to love them, not to save them. You are merely the one who opens the door for my grace to enter your home. When you try to carry everything with your own strength, you are blocking my path. Lay down the worries of tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Do the work of today with love. That is all I ask. 5. Grace is the power to be soft in a hard world. Just as Haniel softens the hearts of Capricorn and Sagittarius, Jesus teaches that gentleness is not weakness. In a society that glorifies toughness, competition, and pressure, the ability to keep a soft heart, one that can still feel and empathize, is a supernatural power. It is how you overcome the world without using a sword. A group of Pharisees argued fiercely about the law. They wanted to stone a woman caught in sin to demonstrate the strictness and hardness of the law. The atmosphere was tense and murderous. Jesus did not argue back with anger. He bent down and used his finger to write gently in the dust. His silence and soft gesture were like cool water extinguishing a raging fire. When they had all left, he stood up and looked at the woman. "Neither do I condemn you." Then he turned to the disciples watching. "Do you see? Hardness can break stone, but only water can wear down stone and seep deep into the earth to nourish life. Do not let this world callous your hearts. Your greatest strength lies not in a fist, but in the capacity for forgiveness and grace. 6. Intuition is God's whisper in the silence. Is your intuition sharp? Haniel's gift. That is no coincidence. Jesus often retreated to desolate places to pray. He taught that God rarely speaks in thunder, but often in a gentle whisper. To hear guidance for the new year, you must turn off the noise of the outside world. James and John were arguing about who would sit at Jesus' right hand. They were loud and wanted a clear, thunderous answer immediately. Jesus signaled for them to be quiet and pointed to the moon shining softly above. "You are too loud," he whispered. "You look for me in thunderous miracles, but I often come in fleeting thoughts, in sudden feelings of peace." "How can we hear?" John asked. "By listening to what is not said," Jesus replied. "Like that moonlight, it makes no sound, yet it guides the traveler in the night. The intuition within you is the whisper of the Spirit. Trust that small voice, for it knows the way home better than your noisy logic. 7. Healing others begins with accepting your own wounds. You are a healer, but you are also in pain. Jesus is the greatest wounded healer. This philosophy reminds you that you don't need to be perfect to help others. It is through your scars that the light shines to guide others. Do not hide your weakness. Use it as a bridge for connection. On the road to Jerusalem, Jesus met an old physician bandaging a man who had been beaten by robbers. The physician's hands trembled because he himself was sick. Judas Iscariot whispered sarcastically, "He cannot even save himself. How can he save another?" Jesus heard this. He walked over and placed his hand on the physician's trembling hand, infusing him with strength. He told Judas, "Only those who know pain know how to soothe another's pain most gently. This man's wound is not a weakness, it is a badge of compassion. You can heal others even while you are bleeding. That is the greatest love." 8. An ending is not the end, it is preparation for a greater beginning. December is the month of endings. Are you afraid of aging, afraid of time passing? Jesus taught about the grain of wheat. If it does not fall to the ground and die, it cannot produce many seeds. Every ending in your life, job loss, breakup, failure, is the necessary preparation for a glorious new year. The disciples were sorrowful when they heard Jesus speak of his departure. A mournful atmosphere hung over the Last Supper. They feared separation. They feared the end of the beautiful days with their Master. Jesus held up the cup of wine, his eyes shining with a hope they did not yet understand. "You grieve because you think this is the final period," he said. "But look, When the sun sets in December, does it disappear forever? No, it is merely preparing for a more brilliant dawn. Do not cling to what has passed. Let go to receive what is coming. The end of this is the beginning of something infinitely greater. Trust me, what I have for you ahead is better than anything you leave behind. 9. Beauty and art are the language of heaven. Haniel loves beauty and elegance. Jesus did too. He used the lilies of the field to preach about providence. This philosophy teaches that your love for beauty, your desire to decorate your home, and your wish to live a poetic life are not frivolous. It is how you honor the Creator and bring heaven down to earth. Some criticized Mary Magdalene when she used expensive perfume to anoint Jesus' feet. They claimed it was a waste, and the money should be used for practical charity. But the fragrance filled the room, soothing the tense atmosphere. Jesus spoke up to defend her. Leave her alone. She has done a beautiful thing to me. He looked around. Life is not just about bread. The human soul also needs to be nourished by beauty, by reverence, and by grace. When you create beauty, when you live with elegance, you are reflecting the beauty of my Father. Do not let the dryness of life steal the romance from your soul. 10. Alchemy happens when you surrender your anxiety. The emotional alchemy that Haniel teaches is essentially surrender. Jesus performed his first miracle by turning water into wine. He can turn your December anxiety into joy, your lack into abundance. The key is not trying to fix it yourself, but filling the jars and letting him do the rest. At the wedding in Cana, the wine ran out. Anxiety and shame overwhelmed the master of the banquet. Mother Mary came to Jesus and then told the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Jesus did not preach a moral lesson about poor planning. He simply told them to fill the jars with water, and the water became the finest wine. Later, he recalled that lesson. You bring to me the plain water of your anxiety, of your exhausting December days. As long as you believe and hand it over to me, I will turn it into the wine of grace. Do not try to transform the situation yourself. Invite me into the situation and watch me make the impossible possible. Here is the continuation of the philosophies, from 11 to 30. These are crafted to bridge the mystical energy of December and Archangel Haniel with the grounding, healing words of Jesus, addressing the modern anxieties of your audience. 11. Your emptiness is not a defect. It is space for a new miracle. You often feel drained at the end of the year, like a vessel that has poured out everything for others. You fear this emptiness, thinking it means you have failed. But Haniel represents the moon, which must become completely dark before it can be new again. God teaches that he cannot fill what is already full. Your emptiness is the invitation for his abundance. The disciples were anxious because the crowd was hungry, and they had only 5 loaves and 2 fish. Andrew looked at the small basket and said, "Lord, this is nothing among so many. We are empty of resources." Jesus took the meager food, looked up to heaven, and gave thanks. He did not ask for the baskets to be full before he started. He blessed the not enough. He handed the broken bread to Andrew and said, "Do not despise the emptiness of the basket, Andrew. If the basket were already full of stones, where would I put the bread of life? Your exhaustion, your lack of strength at this moment, bring it all to me. It is the perfect empty space for me to perform a work that is mine alone." 12. To rest is a spiritual act, not a sign of weakness. December is the season of hibernation. Haniel's energy is soft and restorative. Yet you feel guilty when you stop working, fearing you will lose your worth. Jesus often slept while others panicked. He teaches that rest is an act of trust, believing that the world and your life are held in God's hands, not yours. A furious storm battered the boat crossing the Sea of Galilee. The disciples were frantically bailing water, screaming in terror. In the stern, Jesus was sleeping peacefully on a cushion. They woke him, shouting, "Teacher, do not! You care that we are perishing." Jesus stood up, calmed the wind and waves with a word, and then turned to them. The calm of the sea mirrored the calm in his eyes. "Why are you so afraid?" he asked. "Do you think the world stops spinning when you close your eyes? When I sleep, I am not absent. I am trusting the Father. To rest is to declare that you are not God. Go to sleep, little ones. The Father watches over the boat, even when the sailors are weary." 13. True beauty is found in the hidden roots, not just the visible flower. You worry that you haven't bloomed enough this year. You compare your winter season to someone else's summer. But the most important work of December happens underground. Just as Haniel governs the hidden realms of the soul, Jesus teaches that the unseen growth is eternal. Philip pointed to a magnificent tree near the temple, its leaves withered by the winter cold. "Lord," he said, "it looks dead. It bears no fruit. Is it useless now?" Jesus walked to the tree and touched its rough bark. "Philip, do not judge by appearances. Right now, deep beneath the earth, the roots are digging deeper in search of water. They are anchoring themselves against the coming storms." He looked at Philip intently. "The fruit is for others to eat, but the root is for the tree's own life. This season of your life, where nothing seems to be happening on the surface, is when your soul is growing its roots. Do not rush to bloom. If you have no roots in the secret place with me, you will not withstand the summer heat." 14. Forgiveness is the only way to close the old year and enter the new. Haniel helps transmute negative emotions into grace. As the year ends, you may be carrying the heavy luggage of resentment. You cannot walk through the gate of the new year carrying old grudges. Jesus teaches that forgiveness is not condoning the wrong. It is cutting the rope that ties you to the past. Peter asked Jesus, "Lord, if my brother sins against me, how many times must I forgive him? As many as 7 times?" Peter thought he was being generous. Jesus replied, "Not 7 times, but 77 times." Seeing Peter's confused face, Jesus explained, "Unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting your enemy to die. When you hold on to a grudge, you are chaining yourself to the moment of pain. I want you to enter the future free, Peter. Forgive, not because they deserve it, but because your heart deserves peace. Drop the stone you are carrying. Your hands need to be open to receive the blessings I have prepared." 15. Your sensitivity is your compass, not your weakness. December-borns often feel things deeply: the cold, the moods of others, the shift in energy. You might wish you had thicker skin. But Jesus, who wept at the tomb of Lazarus and felt the weight of the world, teaches that a feeling heart is the organ of truth. Your sensitivity is how God navigates you. Nathanael was sitting under a fig tree, feeling overwhelmed by the sorrows of his people. He felt everything so intensely that he often preferred solitude. He thought this made him unsuited for the harsh world. When Jesus saw him, he said, "Here is truly an Israelite in whom there is no deceit." Nathanael was shocked. "How do you know me?" Jesus smiled. "I saw you under the fig tree. I saw your heart breaking for things others ignore. Do not wish to be hard, Nathanael. The world has enough stones. It needs hearts of flesh that can feel my nudges. Your sensitivity is the instrument through which I will play the music of compassion. Protect it, but do not harden it. 16. The most precious gifts are often wrapped in humble cloths. In the consumerism of December, you may feel pressure to give material things or achieve visible status. But the first Christmas teaches that the King of Kings came in a feeding trough. Haniel brings the grace of simplicity. God is often found in the small, the ordinary, and the unassuming aspects of your life. A rich young ruler walked away from Jesus, sad because he could not part with his great possessions to follow the truth. The disciples were dazzled by the young man's wealth and disappointed he didn't join them. Jesus picked up a common field flower, a small lily growing by the dusty road. "Look at this," he said. "Solomon in all his splendor was not dressed like one of these. You look for God in palaces and grand achievements," he told them, "but I tell you the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, tiny, overlooked, yet holding a massive tree inside. Do not despise your small beginnings or your humble life." The greatest love is found in a cup of cold water given in my name, not in the gold of the temple. 17. Waiting is not wasted time, it is active preparation. The season of Advent is about waiting. You are anxious for your prayers to be answered, for your 2026 prophecy to come true. You feel like you are just standing still. But Jesus spent 30 years in obscurity for 3 years of ministry. Waiting is when the character is forged to carry the destiny. Mary and Martha sent word to Jesus that Lazarus was sick. They waited and waited, but Jesus did not come immediately. He stayed 2 more days where he was. To the sisters, this delay felt like abandonment. When he finally arrived, Martha said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Jesus looked at her with infinite patience. "Martha, I did not come when you wanted, because I intended to give you something greater than a healing. I wanted to give you a resurrection. My delay is not my denial," he whispers to you now. "I am not late. I am waiting for the perfect moment when the glory will be greatest. Trust my timing more than your deadline." 18. You are protected even when you feel vulnerable. Haniel is a guardian, but her protection is soft like moonlight, not a fortress of stone. You may feel exposed and vulnerable in this cold season. Jesus teaches that true safety isn't the absence of danger, but the presence of God within the danger. You can be fragile and safe at the same time. Jesus sent the 12 disciples out like sheep among wolves. They were terrified. They had no weapons, no money, and no extra clothes. "Lord," Thaddeus asked, "how will we survive? The world is dangerous." Jesus reassured them, "Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground outside your Father's care. And even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. You are safer in the midst of wolves with my hand upon you than you would be in a high tower without me. Do not build walls to protect your heart. Let my presence be your shield. Walk boldly, for you are watched over by eyes that never sleep." 19. Silence. The noise to find your true direction. The end of the year is chaotic. Everyone demands your attention. Haniel urges you to retreat into the moonlight mirror. Jesus frequently withdrew to lonely places. He teaches that you cannot find your North Star if you are constantly looking at the streetlights of other people's opinions. The crowds were pressing in on Jesus, demanding miracles, healing, and teachings. The noise was deafening. But Jesus slipped away, climbing a mountain alone as evening fell. When the disciples finally found him, they said, "Everyone is looking for you." Jesus stood up, refreshed by the silence of the mountain. "Let us go somewhere else," he said. He did not let the demands of the crowd dictate his direction. If you do not pull away to listen to the Father, he tells you, you will live your life reacting to the world instead of acting on your purpose. The voice of destiny is quiet. You must create a sanctuary of silence in your soul to hear it. 20. Your past failures are the compost for your future growth. As the year closes, you might replay your regrets. You see the dead leaves of your mistakes. But in nature, God's first Bible, dead leaves become the fertilizer for the spring forest. Jesus redeems everything. Nothing in your life is wasted, not even your mistakes. After the resurrection, Jesus met Peter by the shore, the same Peter who had denied knowing him 3 times out of fear. Peter could barely look Jesus in the eye, crushed by the weight of his failure. Jesus did not mention the failure. He simply asked, "Peter, do you love me?" "You know I love you," Peter replied. "Then feed my sheep," Jesus commanded. "Peter," he seemed to say, "your failure broke your pride, and that was necessary. Now that you know you are weak, you can finally rely on my strength to lead others. I am not looking for a perfect record. I am looking for a heart that keeps coming back to me. Your past is not a prison. It is a school. Learn and move forward." 21. Light does not compete, it just shines. In a world of competition, you worry if you are enough. You look at others shining and feel dimmed. But Haniel's moon does not compete with the sun. They rule different domains. Jesus teaches that your light is unique to your design. You don't need to outshine anyone. You just need to be lit. The disciples were arguing about who was the greatest among them. They were comparing their spiritual gifts and their closeness to the Master. Jesus placed a small child in their midst. Whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. He pointed to the lamps burning in the room. Does the lamp in the corner envy the torch by the door? No, it simply burns the oil it has to light its specific corner. If you spend your time measuring your light against your neighbor's, your oil will run dry. Your mission is not to be the biggest star. It is to conquer the darkness in the specific place I have put you. 22. Fear is the shadow. Faith is the substance. Winter nights are long, and shadows loom large. You worry about the what-ifs of the coming year. Jesus teaches that fear is merely a shadow. It looks like a monster, but it has no substance. Faith is the solid ground. You must learn to walk through the shadow to find the dawn. Walking on the water, Peter saw the wind and the waves. He looked at the storm, the shadow, instead of Jesus, the substance, and he began to sink. Jesus caught him immediately. "You of little faith," he said, not in anger but in coaching. "Why did you doubt?" "Fear is a liar," he tells you today. It projects a scary movie onto the screen of your future. But I am the director of the story. Do not believe the shadow. Keep your eyes on me, and you will walk over the very things that threaten to drown you. 23. Generosity creates abundance. Hoarding creates lack. December is a time of giving, but you may feel financial anxiety. You hold on tight to what you have. Jesus teaches the economy of heaven. The open hand receives. The closed fist cannot. Haniel brings grace, and grace flows. To receive the flow, you must be a channel, not a dam. Jesus sat opposite the place where the offerings were put, and watched the crowd putting their money into the temple treasury. Many rich people threw in large amounts, but a poor widow came and put in 2 very small copper coins, worth only a few cents. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. She gave out of her poverty," he explained. When you give when you are scared, when you share when you have little, you break the power of fear over your life. You declare that I am your source, not your bank account. Open your hands and watch how I fill them. 24. Healing takes time, just as the moon takes time to become full. You want your emotional wounds to heal instantly. You are frustrated with your slow progress. But nature does not rush. Haniel's cycles remind us of patience. Jesus healed some instantly, but with others, he took steps. He respects the process of your soul. Jesus took a blind man by the hand and led him outside the village. He spit on the man's eyes and put his hands on him. "Do you see anything?" he asked. The man looked up. "I see people. They look like trees walking around." It was a partial healing. Jesus didn't give up. Once more he put his hands on the man's eyes. Then his eyes were opened, his sight was restored, and he saw everything clearly. "Do not be discouraged by a gradual healing," he says to you. "If today you see men like trees, it is progress. I am still working on you. I will not leave you half-healed. Trust the process of my hands upon your life." 25. Solitude is where you find your true name. You may fear being alone during the holidays, but there is a difference between loneliness, pain of isolation, and solitude, glory of being alone with God. Jesus sought solitude to remember who he was. In the quiet of December, you stop being who people want you to be, and you remember who God created you to be. Before starting his ministry, Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness for 40 days. No applause, no friends, no comfort, just him and the Father. When the tempter came to question his identity, "If you are the Son of God," Jesus stood firm. He knew who he was because he had sat in the silence. The world calls you by your job, your role, or your mistakes, he says. But in the silence I call you beloved. You need to come away with me, not to escape the world, but to remember your name. When you know who you are, the world cannot touch you. 26. The cold serves to preserve the seed. You complain about the coldness of your current situation, maybe a lack of love, a stalled career, or a distant dream. But in nature, cold is a preservative. It prevents the seed from sprouting too early and dying in the frost. Your current stagnation is actually God's preservation. Jesus told a parable. The kingdom of God is like a man who scatters seed on the ground. Night and day, whether he sleeps or gets up, the seed sprouts and grows, though he does not know how. There is a time for the harvest, he reminds you. But there is also a time for the soil to rest under the snow. Do not curse the cold. It is keeping your potential safe until the season is right. You are not stuck. You are being preserved for a massive bloom. 27. Your gentle words can break bone. Haniel inspires grace in speech. You might think you need to shout to be heard in this noisy world, but the Bible says, "A gentle tongue can break a bone." Jesus spoke with authority, not volume. Your quiet December wisdom has more power to change hearts than 1,000 loud arguments. The officers sent by the Pharisees to arrest Jesus came back empty-handed. Their masters demanded, "Why didn't you bring him in?" The officers replied, stunned, "No one ever spoke the way this man does." Jesus didn't scream at them. He spoke truth with grace. "My child," he tells you, "you don't need to raise your voice to prove your point. Truth has its own volume. Speak with the grace I have placed in your heart. The right word, spoken softly at the right time, can tear down walls that an army could not breach. 28. You are the salt, not the sugar. December brings a lot of sugar, sweetness, parties, artificial lights. But Jesus called you the salt of the earth. Salt preserves, heals wounds, and adds flavor, but it can sting on a wound. Your role isn't always to make people feel sweet and comfortable. It is to bring the purifying, preserving truth of God's love, even if it feels different from the crowd. You are the salt of the earth, Jesus told the multitude on the mount. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? Do not try to be sugar just to please the world, he advises. Sugar dissolves and disappears. Salt remains. Be real. Be authentic. Your unique flavor, your integrity, your spiritual depth is what this decaying world desperately needs to be preserved. 29. The miracle is often in the breaking. Haniel helps you through emotional breaking points. You fear being broken. But Jesus took the bread, broke it, and then it multiplied. Your brokenness is not the end of your usefulness. It is the beginning of your multiplication. Through your cracks, God's light shines. At the Last Supper, Jesus took bread, gave thanks and broke it, and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body given for you." He did not keep the bread whole. He allowed it to be broken so it could feed many. You feel broken by life, he says with immense compassion. But in my hands, a broken life becomes a shared blessing. Because you have been broken, you can feed the hunger of others with your empathy. Your brokenness has made you accessible. You are now bread for a hungry world. 30. I am the Alpha and the Omega. Your end is my beginning. As December ends, you face the Omega, the end. But Jesus is also the Alpha, the beginning. In the divine cycle, there is no true goodbye, only transformation. Do not fear the turning of the calendar. The God who walked with you in December is already waiting for you in January. On the Isle of Patmos, the aged Apostle John was afraid for the future of the church. Jesus appeared to him in blinding glory and laid his right hand on him. Do not be afraid. I am the first and the last. I am the living one. I was dead, and now look, I am alive forever and ever. You are standing at the threshold of a new year, he tells you now. You see a closed door, but I see a new hallway. Trust me with your endings. Every sunset you see is a sunrise on another shore. I am already in your 2026, preparing the way. Walk forward in peace. My dear friend, we have sat together through the long night of December. We have listened to the whispers of Archangel Haniel and the eternal wisdom of Jesus. As you step away from this video and back into your life, carry this truth in your heart. You are not the forgotten child of the holidays. You are the gatekeeper of hope. The world may be loud, but your spirit was designed for the sacred silence where God speaks. Do not fear the winter. It is simply the canvas upon which your light is destined to shine the brightest. You have the grace of Haniel to soften your path and the strength of Christ to hold you up. You are never, ever walking alone. If this message felt like a warm embrace for your soul today, please give this video a like. It helps us spread this light to other gatekeepers who are still feeling lost in the dark. And if you are ready to walk this path of spiritual awakening with us, subscribe to Angelic Gospel and click that notification bell. We are building a sanctuary here, a family of souls who choose faith over fear. You belong here. Before you go, I want you to make a declaration to the universe and to yourself. Go down to the comments right now and write, I release the weight of the past. I am ready for my new beginning. Write it down. Seal your intention. Let that be the first step of your 2026 transformation. Thank you for letting me share this sacred space with you. May the grace of Haniel surround you, and may the peace of Jesus rule in your heart. Until we meet again, go in grace.